You're watching USA News Hub, your home for breaking headlines, trending sports stories, and exclusive updates from across the nation. Carlos Alcaraz warned, "They're going to kill us." Alcaraz Swiatek said, "It's overwhelming." And now, a former Grand Slam finalist has stepped into the chaos with a truth bomb the tennis world didn't expect. This isn't just a complaint. This is a wake-up call. The tennis world is at war with its own calendar. And the voices leading the rebellion are not fringe players. They are the biggest stars on earth. Carlos Alcaraz, Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, Aryna Sabalenka, Alexander Zverev, Taylor Fritz, Casper Ruud. All of them, all top players, are sounding the alarm on what they call the insane, unhealthy, and unsustainable tennis schedule of 2025. But now, a new voice has joined the conversation. A voice with experience. A voice with scars. A voice with no filter. Marcos Baghdatis, former world number 8, Australian Open finalist, and one of the most charismatic players of his generation, has spoken out. And while he agrees with today's stars that the schedule is a serious problem, he's also delivered a blunt reality check that players didn't see coming. White medium star, the problem everyone is talking about. For years, tennis has operated as one of the most grueling sports on the planet. Heavy checkmark 11-month season. Heavy checkmark mandatory events. Heavy checkmark expanded 12-day Masters 1000 tournaments. Heavy checkmark endless travel. Heavy checkmark constant surface changes. Heavy checkmark playing through injuries to avoid ranking penalties, but in 2025, the breaking point finally arrived. White medium star Carlos Alcaraz fires the first major warning. The men's world number 1 didn't hold back. There are too many tournaments. More and more mandatory events. They're going to kill us. Injuries are everywhere because of the balls, the calendar, everything. That quote exploded across social media. Fans shared videos of Alcaraz limping, icing his arm, and complaining about heavy balls. The message was clear. Even the strongest athlete in tennis thinks the system is broken. White medium star Iga Swiatek, "The schedule is crazy." Then came the voice of the women's world number 2. Iga Swiatek, the most dominant athlete on the WTA, opened up about burnout like never before. "We play too much. The schedule is crazy. After a 4-week pre-season and 8-day vacation, seeing 11 months of tournaments ahead of me is overwhelming." Overwhelming. A word champions rarely use. A word that signals emotional exhaustion. A word that fans don't usually hear from elite athletes. This wasn't just a complaint. It was a cry for help. White medium star Coco Gauff, Sabalenka, Fritz, Rune, Zverev, Ruud, everyone joins in. Coco Gauff has called the schedule dangerous. Sabalenka has called it unrealistic. Fritz has said players feel punished for resting. Ruud says the tour is expanding too fast, too soon. This wasn't a small disagreement. This was a rebellion, a movement. And tennis needed someone respected, someone real, to weigh in. Enter Marcos Baghdatis. White medium star Marcos Baghdatis, the voice of experience. Baghdatis was never afraid to speak his mind during his career. He played with emotion, grit, fire, and injuries. So when Tennis 365 interviewed him, the tennis world paid attention. And his message? It wasn't soft. It wasn't political. It wasn't filtered. White medium star Baghdatis agrees, but doesn't like the complaining. He said, "The schedule is a problem, but I hate players complaining about it." A sentence that shocked many. Why? Because how can you agree the schedule is broken, but also hate that players complain? Baghdatis explained it. Heavy checkmark tennis players know what they sign up for. Heavy checkmark the sport has always required playing through pain. Heavy checkmark players choose to chase points, rankings, money. Heavy checkmark complaining publicly doesn't fix structural issues. Heavy checkmark agents and teams push players into overload. Heavy checkmark the culture of the sport rewards overplaying, and then he dropped the hammer. If you don't like the schedule, adjust your calendar. Take responsibility. No one forces you to play every week. Fans reacted instantly. Some applauded his honesty. Others said he was being unfair, ignoring mandatory events and ranking penalties. But Baghdatis didn't stop there. He defended Alcaraz and Swiatek's concerns, saying, "Heavy checkmark the calendar is too long. Heavy checkmark. The number of mandatory events is excessive. Heavy checkmark. Injuries are rising. Heavy checkmark. The new 12-day Masters 1000s do add stress. Heavy checkmark. The season does need reform, but players must also take ownership. This was the truth bomb moment. The part that went viral. The tough love message from someone who lived the grind. White medium star. Why the schedule is breaking players. The real problem is simple. Red square. There is no off-season. Just 4 weeks of training before the year begins again. Imagine an NFL player getting 4 weeks off. Imagine an NBA player starting a new season immediately after the finals. Would be unthinkable. But in tennis, it's the norm. Red square. There are too many mandatory tournaments. Players must enter certain events, or face crossmark ranking point penalties. Crossmark fines. Crossmark ATP/WTA violations. It forces them to play even when exhausted. Red square. Balls keep changing week to week. This leads to more heavy checkmark wrist injuries. Heavy checkmark elbow problems. Heavy checkmark shoulder pain. Even Alcaraz has blamed the variety of balls for his injuries. Red square. Travel is non-stop. 3 continents in 5 weeks. Totally normal. Red square. 12-day Masters events clog the schedule. What used to be a 7-day tournament is now a nearly 2-week commitment, with no extra rest days added between events. White medium star. Baghdatis. Big message. Stop talking, start acting. While agreeing with the players' frustrations, Baghdatis insisted that heavy checkmark complaining won't fix the system. Heavy checkmark. Players need to unite. Heavy checkmark. The ATP and WTA must redesign the calendar. Heavy checkmark. Injuries should be monitored by independent doctors. Heavy checkmark. Mandatory events must be reduced. Heavy checkmark. Off-season must be longer. This is a message coming from someone who retired early because his body gave out. He knows the cost. He paid it. The 2025 season could be a turning point. For the first time in years, Sparkle's top players are speaking up. Sparkle's former stars are joining the conversation. Sparkle's fans are demanding changes. Sparkle's the media is amplifying the issue, and one thing is crystal clear. The old tennis calendar is collapsing under its own weight. Something has to give. Because even Alcaraz, the youngest, fittest, strongest champion in the game, is telling the world, they're going to kill us. And when Swiatek, the most disciplined, mentally strong athlete on the WTA, says, it's overwhelming, it means the sport is reaching its limit. The question now is, will the ATP and WTA actually listen? Or will tennis continue burning out its stars, until injuries decide the rankings instead of performance? Time will tell. But one thing is certain, Baghdatis just added gasoline to a fire that was already burning. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that's shaping America and the world. We'll see you in the next update.